Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Teena Jha. On the 14th of May, the United States relocated its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, officially recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Even as US President Donald Trump called it a great day for Israel, the move escalated tensions in the Middle East. Palestinian demonstrators clashed with Israeli forces on the Gaza border. At least 60 Palestinians were killed in the violence over 3 days in the region. But what made the US move so controversial? Why were Palestinians outraged? In today's edition of In Depth, we try and understand the conflict surrounding Jerusalem, the history of the ancient city, its significance, and its many claimants. Jerusalem has a history of conflicts. The modern-day Israeli-Palestinian conflict started back in the mid-20th century. Its origins can be traced back to the Jewish immigration and sectarian conflict between Jews and the Arabs. One of the oldest cities, Jerusalem was formerly divided between Israel and Palestine for nearly 70 years. Jerusalem is in modern-day Israel and is considered one of the holiest places on earth. Known in Hebrew as Yerushalayim and in Arabic as Al-Quds, it is also one of the world's oldest cities. It is a site of major significance for the three largest monotheistic religions, Judaism, Islam and Christianity.
These are the three Brahminical religions, they call it, Abraham was the patriarch, was the first prophet, who said, who believed and preached in oneness of God, that God is one, this concept, came at that time, And then the Judaism emerged, and after the Judaism, the Christianity came, and after the Christianity, Islam came, So all the three religions are interconnected, Their holy book of Jewish is also holy book of the Muslim, the holy book of Christian is also the holy book of Muslims. Then Muslim can marry a Christian or Jewish girl. Then apart from this, there are a lot of commonality between. That is one of the reasons for dispute among them.
Jerusalem features prominently in the Hebrew Bible. It is the place where Abraham, the first patriarch of Judaism, nearly sacrificed his son Isaac to God thousands of years ago. According to the Hebrew Bible, Jerusalem was the capital of King David's Israel, as well as the city where David's son Solomon built his temple. In biblical times, Jewish people who could not make a pilgrimage to the city were supposed to pray in its direction. According to the Christian faith, Jerusalem is where Jesus Christ preached, ate the Last Supper with his disciples before his death, where he was arrested, put on trial, condemned to death, and crucified. It is in Jerusalem that Christians believe Christ's tomb was found empty and he rose from the dead. The city then is a place of deep sorrow, utter desolation, but also of hope and redemption. It is the sacred heart of the Christian story. Jerusalem was Islam's first direction of prayer, that is Qibla. This was later changed to Mecca. The city was also a key stage of Prophet Muhammad's profound nocturnal spiritual journey. According to Islamic tradition, the Prophet travelled miraculously from Mecca to Jerusalem and then upwards through the seven heavens, culminating in a direct conversation with God. The ancient city has often been the focus of stories of division and conflict among people of different religions. However, in their reverence for this holy ground, they are united. Apart from their common holy center, Jerusalem, the scriptures belonging to the three Abrahamic religions also have similarities. The Jewish holy book consists of the Tanakh and the Talmud. Christians adopted the Tanakh for their Bible, but call it the Old Testament. The Quran also tells the story of Jesus Christ's crucifixion.
Well, there are a large number of places that are of significance, and as I said, most of them belong to these three religions. As far as the Jews are concerned, they have their most important fire temple and the Wailing Wall. And for the Muslims also, one of their most revered mosques, one of the biggest mosques is in Jerusalem. And so also for the Christians, they have This is the place where Jesus of Nazareth was born, and so that has a special significance as far as the Christians are concerned.
The heart of the dispute over Jerusalem is the Old City. It is there that the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the Western Wall and the Temple Mount are located. During its history that dates back more than 5,000 years, Jerusalem has been conquered, destroyed, reconquered, put under siege and rebuilt several times. And beyond the religious significance, the city of Jerusalem is also seen as the national capital of both Jews and Palestinian Arabs.
Israel is the most trusted as well as the strategic ally of United States. US believes that its supremacy, military supremacy should be maintained over there. Then Israel protects the American national interest in this oil-rich region, And besides this, in America, large number of Jews are living, So they have a very powerful Jewish lobby over there. And this Jewish lobby is backed by many Christian population as well. Large number of Christians also support, especially the evangelical. They believe, the establishment of Israel would facilitate the establishment of the second coming of the Jesus.
The status of Jerusalem is disputed in both international law and diplomatic practice. A majority of United Nations member states and most international organizations do not recognize Israel's sovereignty over East Jerusalem, which came under its control after the 1967 Six-Day War or its 1980 Jerusalem Law Proclamation, which declared a complete and united Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. And that's why most countries chose to open their foreign embassies in Tel Aviv and its suburbs rather than in Jerusalem. With the United States officially recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital by opening its embassy there, tension in the region has escalated. Violent protests have broken out in Gaza. Dozens of protesters have been killed over clashes with Israeli forces. The US move has left the world divided. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Located on the border of Israel between the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea, Jerusalem is one of the oldest cities of the world. With its narrow lanes and rich history, Jerusalem connects several religions of the world. Its ancient buildings and monuments tell the country stories of its glorious culture, which is thousands of years old. Here's a look at the story of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the holiest city in Judaism and Christianity and has been the spiritual center of the Jewish people. The king of Israel, David, first established it as the capital of the Jewish nation, and his son Solomon commissioned the building of the first temple in the city. Jerusalem has been formally divided between Israel and Palestine for nearly 70 years, yet changed hands many other times throughout the course of its 5,000-year history.
Jerusalem is very important for all the three Abrahamical religions, like Judaism, Christianity and Islam. Their holy places are there. For Jews it is very important, because Wailing Wall is there, Temple of David is there. They also say that this is the place where their kings and prophets have lived.
Jerusalem is also an important pilgrimage for Christians whose holiest church, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, is established here. There are many other churches here as well. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre contains two of the holiest sites of Christianity, the site where Jesus was crucified and Jesus' empty tomb where he is said to have been buried and resurrected.
All the three religions, the Abrahamic religions, which basically accept that the Holy Scriptures have come to them from a supernatural being, and these have been transmitted to the world and to the common people. So this place and the region has a great significance for all these religions.
The third holiest site of Islam is also in Jerusalem. The Dome of the Rock is one of the oldest extant works of Islamic architecture. The site's great significance for Muslims derives from traditions connecting it to the creation of the world and to the belief that the Prophet Muhammad's night journey to heaven started from the rock at the center of the structure. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, it has been called Jerusalem's most recognizable landmark, along with two nearby Old City structures, the Western Wall and the Resurrection Rotunda in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
The Wailing Wall, the Temple of David, which is not there at the moment, but there are excavations are going on. They're trying to dig it out, Then holy churches are there, very old churches. The first churches emerged at that time. That was they are there. Then the Al-Aqsa Mosque, Dome of the Rock is there, which is also very important, from where Prophet has gone up there for Miraj. So there are a number of holy places for all the three religions are there.
The Western Wall or the Al-Buraq Wall is an ancient limestone wall in the Old City of Jerusalem. The wall was originally erected as part of the expansion of the Second Jewish Temple, which resulted in the encasement of the natural steep hill known to the Jews and Christians as the Temple Mount. The Western Wall is considered holy due to its connection to the Temple Mount. Because of the Temple Mount entry restrictions, the wall is the holiest place where Jews are permitted to pray, though the holiest site in the Jewish faith lies behind it. Of the four retaining walls, the western one is considered to be the closest to the former temple, which makes it the most sacred site recognized by Judaism outside the former Temple Mount Esplanade. The area in front of the wall has the status of a synagogue and must be treated with due respect. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Not only religious importance, Jerusalem also has political significance. The area is not just a cause of controversy between the Israelis and the Palestinians, but also an important center of global politics. But why did US President Donald Trump decide to shift the embassy to Jerusalem? And who is supporting him? Let's find out in this report.
There is hardly any city in the world that has witnessed so much of bloodshed. No power in the world has ever been successful in ending its dispute. For the last few years, there has been status quo in the region, but US President Donald Trump's decision of declaring Jerusalem as Israel's capital has triggered a fresh controversy. It was in 1980 that Israel declared Jerusalem as its capital, but various countries and the United Nations did not recognize the decision. All countries have established their embassies in Tel Aviv, which is about 70 kilometers away from Jerusalem. The residence and office of the Israeli Prime Minister is also in Jerusalem. The Parliament and the Supreme Court is also run from there. It is also important to understand why Trump has taken this decision. Trump was already eyeing the Jewish voters in America. He even mentioned this issue in his election manifesto. It is believed that this step is important for conservatives and evangelical Christians who vote for Trump. A large section of America is in favor of Israel, and the US and Israel ties in international politics are very clear to everyone. Israel is considered to be a close ally of America. Largely on the strategic and political issues in the Middle East, America and Israel have always supported each other. There are bilateral ties between the two countries in military and the technology.
You know, this was a commitment, this was a promise that President Donald Trump had given during his election campaign. And then last year in December, on the 7th of December, if I remember correctly, he had announced that the United States would be shifting its embassy to from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And that is what they are doing today. That is what they have done today. And I think basically also sending out a very strong, clear message to the Middle East, to West Asia, that they are fully with Israel, fully in support of Israel.
It is also important to understand that this decision has not been taken for the first time by the Trump regime or the United States. In fact, this decision was taken by America in 1995 under a law. According to it, the Israeli Embassy of America should be in Jerusalem. In 1995, the US Congress had passed the Jerusalem Embassy Law, although the US never implemented this law. From Bill Clinton to George Bush and Barack Obama, all the presidents have been signing the documents that exempts this law every 6 months. Despite passing the law, America never wanted to break the status quo of Jerusalem. But Trump's decision has brought back the old controversy. Trump's decision was also opposed by its allies. France dismissed this decision for peace in the region. The UK termed it as a one-sided decision and said that Jerusalem should be divided between Palestine and Israel. In the Arab countries, people came out on the streets and protested. Saudi Arab, which is considered to be America's ally, also criticized the decision. Despite this, Trump went ahead with the decision.
Israel is the most trusted as well as a strategic ally of United States. US believes that its supremacy, military supremacy should be maintained over there. Then Israel protects the American national interest in this oil-rich region, And besides this, in America, large number of Jews are living, and then many of them are very prominent, controlling big businesses. Then they have also media. A large number of them are in media, and many of them control media. Then they are also in the banking sector. Apart from this, they can also control Hollywood, large number of Jewish community.
Another interesting question here is that whether America is the only country to do this. After the US decision, Latin American countries like Guatemala and Paraguay have also decided to set up their embassies in Jerusalem. Honduras Parliament has also passed a proposal on this, while Czech Republic has also given similar signs. If we analyze the reasons behind this support to Trump's decision, it is clear that the dependence of these countries have significantly increased on Trump. The president of Guatemala, Jimmy Morales, has recently been accused of corruption. Honduras President Juan Orlando Hernandez has been alleged of voter fraud in the recent elections. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also claimed that more than half a dozen countries besides America are serious about shifting their embassy to Jerusalem. In December 2017, 128 countries agreed to the United Nations General Assembly's resolution against declaring Jerusalem as Israel's capital. India was also among the countries which voted against America. Only 9 countries agreed with the US in voting on the proposal. These included Guatemala, Honduras, Israel, Marshall Islands, Nauru, Palau, and Togo. After this, the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution and asked America to withdraw the decision to recognize the Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The story of the birth of the State of Israel is no less interesting. The formation of Israel is considered one of the most important events in modern history. It also gave rise to one of the longest conflicts in today's times, the Israel-Palestine conflict, in which thousands of people have lost their lives while lakhs have been displaced.
There are many complexities in the Israel-Palestine conflict. While some claim that the creation of Israel after the Second World War is the main reason for the conflict, the struggle in the region began much before the Second World War. Muslims, Jews and Christians, people of all the 3 faiths, claim their right in the area, as the holy city of Jerusalem holds religious significance for Islam, Judaism and Christianity. Abraham is the common patriarch of the 3 religions, and Jerusalem is the city of Abraham. Abraham had 2 sons, Ismail and Isaac, whose descendants created Islam, Judaism and Christianity.
Jerusalem is very important for all the 3 Abrahamical religions, like Judaism, Christianity and Islam. Their holy places are there. For Jews it is very important, because Wailing Wall is there, Temple of David is there. They also say that this is the place where their kings and prophets have lived, and they also believe that Jerusalem is the undivided capital of undivided capital of Israel.
With the advent of Islam, Christian and Jewish population began to disintegrate in Palestine. In the 19th century, religious conflicts among Muslims, Jews and Christians began. The area became the epicenter of struggle between the British and Ottoman empires. Around 65,000 Jews were resettled here from Europe. In 1914, the Arab population was about 5 lakh. Since 1922, this area was under British control, but the struggle of control between Jews and Arabs continued. The Jews were demanding a new country, and in 1917, Britain pledged establishment of Palestine as the national home for the Jewish.
Israel was born in 1948. Basically, as a result, there was the Balfour Declaration immediately after the First World War in 1918. And that was a commitment that was given by the United States that it would be a new state of Israel would be created. And that is how immediately after the Second World War in 1948 Israel was born.
With Hitler's rise, troubles increased for Jews in Europe and they fled the continent. Between 1922 to 1939, over 3 lakh Jews resettled in Palestine, leading to many violent struggles between the Arabs and the migrants. On the 30th of November 1947, the United Nations approved the resolution to divide Palestine between Arabs and Jews. According to the agreement, Britain left its occupation from Palestine on the 15th of May 1948. At midnight on the 15th of May 1948, the State of Israel came into being. The Arab world vehemently protested the formation of Israel as a Jewish nation, but Israel managed to block their opposition with the help of Western nations. Israel occupied large areas of Palestine, forcing lakhs of Palestinians to flee from the newborn nation. This gave rise to a never-ending conflict between Israel and Palestine. This even as Israel continued to expand its territory, reducing Palestine to just Gaza Strip and West Bank.
Jerusalem is a divided, it's a disputed territory. East Jerusalem is supposed to be, where the Palestinians want to establish their future capital. And West Jerusalem was occupied territory, was occupied by the Israeli forces after the formation of Israel, and in 1967 Arab-Israeli conflict, they have also occupied the East Jerusalem, where they are building several settlements, and in which in East Jerusalem alone, they have settled almost 2 lakhs Jewish people in these settlements.
In June 1967, another war was fought between Israel and neighboring Arab countries, including Egypt, that was then known as the United Arab Republic, Jordan and Syria. During this 6-day war, Israel captured the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, the West Bank from Jordan and the Golan Heights from Syria. In 1969, Yasser Arafat became the chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization. In 1973, Syria and Egypt attacked Israel to recapture Golan Heights and Sinai Peninsula, but failed. In 1978, Israel and Egypt signed the Camp David Accords to establish peace in the region, but even this failed to bring about peace and stability. In 1982, Israel attacked Lebanon and killed hundreds of Palestinian refugees in Beirut. In the meantime, new Jewish colonies began to settle on Palestinian territory.
It is understood that Israel has illegally occupied the whole of Jerusalem, and the final status of Jerusalem should be decided through negotiations between Palestine and Israel, and that East Jerusalem would be the capital of Palestine. That is what is the decision at the United Nations. So this is a violation of the decision that was taken at the United Nations.
In 1987, Palestinians began a fresh struggle for their independence. In 1993, Yasser Arafat signed a peace treaty with the government of Israel in Oslo, called the Oslo Accord. The accord provided for the creation of a Palestinian interim self-government that would be responsible for the administration of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. However, Israel backtracked and refused to consider Palestine as a free country even till today. In the year 2000, Israel occupied a large part of the West Bank. In 2008, thousands of Palestinians were killed in Israeli attack on the Gaza Strip. In 2011, Palestine launched a diplomatic campaign to gain membership in the United Nations for the state of Palestine. The same year, UNESCO admitted Palestine into the organization as a full member. However, the Palestinian struggle for an independent nation is still going on. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's all we have in this edition of In Depth. We'll be back same time tomorrow with a focus on another subject. You can also watch our episodes on YouTube and leave your valuable feedback. Thanks for your time.